I know that the guests who arrived for coverage of the Russian Arab Summit have been here for quite a long time and had the opportunity to explore the sites not only of Moscow but also of a number of other Russian regions. The situation that led to today is well known to you. The summit had been in preparation for a long time, but when it became clear that this particular week, including today, when the summit events were supposed to begin, would be decisive in advancing agreements on the Gaza Strip, the agreements actively promoted by our Egyptian friends. Qatar, President Trump undoubtedly put forward this plan, which we have repeatedly assessed as the best that is on the negotiating table today. Although, of course, the Palestinian issue is not exhausted by this. Nevertheless, to stop the bloodshed as soon as possible, to solve the severe humanitarian problems of the population. I know that the guests who arrived for coverage of the Russian Arab Summit have been here for quite a long time and had the opportunity to explore the sites not only of Moscow but also of a number of other Russian regions. The situation that led to today is well known to you. The summit had been in preparation for a long time, but when it became clear that this particular week, including today, when the summit events were supposed to begin, would be decisive in advancing agreements on the Gaza Strip, the agreements actively promoted by our Egyptian friends. Qatar, President Trump undoubtedly put forward this plan, which we have repeatedly assessed as the best that is on the negotiating table today. Although, of course, the Palestinian issue is not exhausted by this. Nevertheless, to stop the bloodshed as soon as possible, to solve the severe humanitarian problems of the population, we sincerely wish success to today's event, today's summit meeting in Sharm el-Sheikh, where, as I understand, more than 20 countries from the Arab world and several Western states are participating. I hope that all agreements will be fulfilled, although we hear and from the ranks of Hamas and statements from Tel Aviv that not everything is over yet. And there may be recurrences of the crisis. I believe it is very important that those who initiated this forum, primarily President Trump, with the support of the presidents of Egypt, the leadership of Qatar, Turkey, do not allow similar scenarios to develop and still focus on the necessity of an immediate ceasefire, compliance with the line that was agreed upon for the withdrawal of Israeli troops in the Gaza Strip, the establishment of humanitarian aid, and of course the restoration of this beautiful place on earth, which probably suffered more than other regions of the world during the post-war years. And of course, a long-term resolution of this situation is only possible with the implementation of the United Nations decisions on the creation of a Palestinian state. We noted that in Donald Trump's peace plan, only the Gaza Strip is mentioned and statehood is referred to, but in rather general terms. And it is necessary to definitely specify these approaches, including determining what will happen on the western bank of the Jordan River, because the United Nations resolution envisions the creation of a territorially unified Palestinian state within the 1967 borders. Well, there will surely be questions about how we see the development of this situation, but I just wanted to state that we remain committed committed to implementing these decisions, as does the overwhelming majority of the international community. So considering here is the agreement to hold today, at the beginning of this week, a special important event on the Palestinian issue. President Putin agreed with the Prime Minister of Iraq as the chairman of the League of Arab States to postpone our summit. I am confident that it will take place as soon as it becomes clear which dates are most convenient for this. The final documents are practically ready, so we will still have the opportunity to meet with you when you come, I hope, once again directly at the summit. The invitation was sent by the summit hosts, the leadership of Egypt, which, as reported, coordinated its actions with other Arab initiators, but primarily with the United States. By the way, the Prime Minister of Iraq was not invited to the summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, even though Iraq is currently the chair of the League of Arab States. Russia is ready to participate in any formats. You mentioned the quartet that was dismantled by the efforts of the Biden administration, and which nevertheless provided very serious agreements, including agreements still 2004 to 2005, no, earlier, 2001, when the quartet's roadmap was approved in the United Nations Security Council, which it very specifically outlined all the steps necessary for the creation of a Palestinian state. The process was supposed to be completed within 1 year. The quartet introduced this resolution. The Security Council approved it unanimously. We know what happened next, and several more initiatives of this kind in general met the same fate. I'm not even mentioning the Madrid Principles of 1991 or the Arab Peace Initiative of 2002, which were welcomed by everyone and led to nothing. Therefore, when you ask about the prospects of today's event and the prospects of all these efforts, which we actively welcome, the President mentioned this recently, speaking at a press conference in Dushanbe. Of course, the skepticism, as you put it, remains. Burshadish, too many times these hopes for peace and prosperity in this region of the world have not materialized, especially since we hear, as I already mentioned in the opening remarks, such skeptical forecasts from different sides. I just read that Benjamin Netanyahu said that not everything is over. Israel still has many enemies. We need to finish them all off. There were discussions about how these agreements would be implemented, who should take the first step, but thank God some hostages have already been released. Now it's Israel's turn. The IDF seems to have withdrawn to the line that was agreed upon, and we really hope that everything that was agreed upon will be fulfilled. If the direct participants of this summit and those who will deal with the implementation of Trump's plan after this summit consider that Russia can be useful, I assure you we will not refuse, but imposing our services is not in our tradition here. Therefore, we wish this summit success, first of all, so that the Palestinian people can breathe freely. We try to influence everyone in one direction, towards the renunciation of violence and the development of coexistence agreements. This is inevitable. Always compromises in any conflict, agreements to stop the bloodshed are compromises. Each side must make concessions. وستستطيع the fact that Arab countries is showed in the initiatives of Egypt, Qatar, Islamic countries, and Turkey. As a result of the Arab-Islamic Summit, Arab countries are ready to seek compromises. They have proven this. And I really hope that the other side, our Israeli colleagues with whom we are also in constant contact, will understand the necessity of seeking a balance of interests and not setting a goal that will mean eliminating any threats to your existence, regardless of what your neighbors think and what their arguments are. Mutual concessions are necessary here. Because if, well, Gaza, Trump's plan mentions it in the context of forming Palestinian statehood, but the West Bank is not mentioned at all. And if you look at the map of the West Bank, there's practically nothing left beyond the illegal settlements. Well, I even heard somewhere that someone is saying we need to create 2 or 3 municipalities for the Palestinians. This is not a state, and I do not think that the creation of municipalities or some quasi-state structures will be considered in the Arab world, and by the Palestinians, first of all, as a satisfactory outcome of this almost 80-year drama.
Here, compromises will have to be made, I have no doubt.
Regarding our military technical cooperation with Iran, after the Security Council sanctions were lifted, we have no restrictions, and in full compliance with international law, we are supplying the equipment that the Islamic Republic of Iran needs. And all this is done, I repeat, within the framework of international law. For purely humanitarian reasons, we provided asylum to Bashar Assad and his family. He has no issues with living in our capital. There were no poisonings. If such rumors appear, well, I leave them to the conscience of those who spread them. The Syrian side is interested in maintaining our military bases in Tartus and Khameimim. We are here, as the president has repeatedly said, relying on the interest of the host country, the Syrian Arab Republic. It is clear that in the new conditions, these bases can already play a different role, not just as military outposts, and in particular, considering the need to establish humanitarian flows to Africa. These can be sea and air bases that serve as humanitarian hubs for directing humanitarian cargo there, including to the Sahara, Sahel zone, and other countries in need.